Thank you for joining us today, this morning, at our special called ERPS meeting. I am Ladina Bolton, our Super District 7 Commissioner. Joining me today, I have committee member Commissioner Shakira Johnson. Commissioner Davis Johnson will be joining us momentarily, but we also have our Super District 6 Commissioner, Commissioner Ted Terry. So we're going to do a little bit of jumping around in the agenda to
Commissioner
make
Bolton?
sure. Yes.
Apologies. This is Commissioner Spears. I just want to let you know I am here on Zoom, mostly in listen mode because I am traveling. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you for that reminder. I do apologize. We also have joining us through Zoom our presiding officer, Commissioner Michelle Long Spears. And we're going to go ahead and start with our minutes, but like I said, we may do a little bit of jumping around because there's some conversations I really do want us to get to today, and we have a hard stop. So item 20251666 are our minutes for the November 4th meeting. Have you had an opportunity to read the meeting? And if so, do we have a motion?
Yes.
Read the minutes. Do we have a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair. I move to approve item 2025-1666.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Wonderful, motion carries. We're going to move down to our fire rescue, item 2025-1317. This is change order number 3 to contract number 1210840, inspection, care, maintenance, and cleaning of personal protective equipment. It's a multi-year contract for use by the Department of Fire Rescue. This contract consists of the inspection, care, maintenance, and cleaning of personal protective equipment. This request seeks to increase contract funds and contract term through April 27, 2026. Awarded to North America Fire Equipment Company, amount not to exceed $150,000. And we have Chief to speak to this item.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. It's as you stated, this contract is for the inspection, cleaning, maintaining of our PPE, which is the gear that the firefighters wear when they enter into hazardous environments. And the amount, the $150,000, would allow us time for the bidding process to be completed. So we're asking to extend the contract for 6 months.
Thank you, and I'd like to announce Commissioner Davis Johnson has joined us. At this time, do our committee members have any questions or comments about this item?
No, ma'am.
None. Commissioner Terry, do you have anything? All righty, if there is nothing, do we have a motion for this item?
I move to approve item 1317.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, motion passes. Next item is 2025-1353, also a change order, but number 1 to contract 1292000 medical oxygen for use by the Department of Fire and Rescue. This contract purchases from the competitively let SWC 9999001-SPD000158-0001, industrial, medical, and special gases for the purchase of medical oxygen cylinders. This request seeks to ratify additional funds to the contract. The request seeks to increase the contract funds for the purchase of medical oxygen awarded to Airgas USA LLC, an amount not to exceed $13,000.
Yes, Commissioner, as you stated, this is for us to purchase the medical oxygen that's used for medical emergencies. We are asking for not only the amount, $13,000, but in this case, there was a contract extension needed that would have been through 11/30/2025, so the end of this month. So we're asking for, once again, the $13,000, but also the extension of the contract as well.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments from committee members? Okay, seeing none at this time. Commissioner Terry, did you have anything? All right, if there's nothing, can we have a motion for this item?
Move to approve item 1353.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Moving on to our DeKalb, and thank you so much, sir. We appreciate you. Moving on to our DeKalb Emergency Management Agency items. First item is 2025-1292, All Commission Districts, change order number 4 to contract number 1263615, Information Technology Software, General Services Administration, contract number GS 35F0253W, for use by DeKalb Emergency Management Agency. This contract consists of purchasing off the competitively let GSA contract for the purchase of Code Red Emergency Notification Solutions. This request is to increase the contract funds and term through November 18, 2026, awarded to Unsolved LLC, amount not to exceed $56,700. Hey, good morning.
Madam Chair, if I may, because I don't know that we've formally introduced Dr. Avery.
Not yet. We would love it.
Yes, and so we're so proud to have Dr. Avery join the team. We got her out of Louisiana, and she's done an outstanding job. I don't know, the opposite, I would say it was baptism by fire, but it was baptism by freeze when she first arrived, but it did an outstanding job in managing or assisting us in managing several days of warming center operations, excellent coordination, helped bring a new perspective and some SOP type thinking, which was well certainly needed. So we're just proud to have her and wanted to welcome aboard. Thanks, Doc.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah,
you.
thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. So this is a change order request for one more year, as we are currently researching other alert systems that would better service DeKalb County.
And I know that we know that you're fairly new, but can you speak to how effective Code Red has been for us?
Code Red has been satisfactory. However, there have been complaints of notifications not coming through, customer service not being reached. Also, with advanced targeting, the message prioritization, scheduling, reporting has been well received, but with the other alert systems that I am researching and working with our IT to be able to integrate what we have now into those. We won't have to bother residents to sign up. They'll already be signed up. Code Red, through my research, also has some technical limitations as well when it comes to alerting our systems.
With Code Red, this is specifically supporting those who have cellular phones. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so for our seniors, do they have a workaround or alternative system? Well, I shouldn't just say for the seniors. For anyone who does not use a cell phone or smartphone, is there a workaround that they offer?
As of now, no, it would be word of mouth. However, with two of the systems that I am researching, if those homes have landlines, they can receive notifications via landline, can also be sent via email. For our staff here at DeKalb County, it can go directly to their computers. So the alert will come up on their computer and have to be disengaged by that employee. For our seniors, again, if they have landlines, it can go through their landline.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. And any questions, Commissioner Marita Davis Johnson?
Based upon your comments, would this system be effective for citizens for another year?
Yes, ma'am. And I'm hoping, I have a presentation set up for tomorrow and Wednesday. I'm hoping to have a decision made by December 1st on a new system to integrate into.
December 1st of 27?
No, ma'am.
Well,
December
this
1st of this year.
Okay, because this contract would be through November the 18th, 26.
Yes, ma'am. We're asking for that year, that one more year, as that was what was already in place before I arrived.
Right.
Madam CEO asked me to research other alert
Okay.
systems and give her a response by December 1st. So I'm
Oh, okay.
hoping to have,
Okay.
now, can the turnover be that quick? No, it cannot.
But it will be effective for a year.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's nice to meet you, Dr. Avery. Thank you for being here. So I do have a question. You've mentioned a research, but if we make this switch, will this not have to go out to an RFP type system?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes, ma'am.
researching on what the kind of the qualifications
Exactly.
and what we might want in that RFP.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Understood. Thank you.
Commissioner Terry.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Nice to meet you, Dr. Avery. Welcome to DeKalb County's family. I think what you're referring to when you're talking about reaching landlines was recorded calls.
Recorded calls.
Right, exactly. So presumably if there was a system that had the recorded call, it would be either you or the CEO would record some sort of message.
Or it can be
Pertaining to-
computer generated and then ask the resident to press 1,
Okay.
that way, and then what
It's
happens?
interactive.
Right, and the data will come back to us. So, for example, if we were to go via rave, we would receive that data of all persons that received those alerts.
Okay. Thank you for that answer. And then Zach, I mean, this is a $56,000 contract. I thought that anything under $100,000 didn't have to go through an RFP. Because what I'm concerned about is if we're identifying software and then we do an RFP, then we're taking 6 to 9 months
Right,
to
so- right.
review something that should be just basically based on user preference. And it shouldn't necessarily be competitive. It should just be what's going to work for DEMA and our needs. And if it's below that 100,000.
Right, so I think the key, as Dr. Avery articulated, is going through that process of identifying, articulating to the vendor community, here are our needs, and seeing who can best meet that. Once we get to the point where we have determined that this firm or that firm has the wherewithal to address our needs, then we will determine what is the best procurement process. It could already be on a contract that we can piggyback on. There may be a host of ways to get there.
Okay.
But we're going to do, the most expeditious, but open and competitive. So the good part is that Dr. Avery is, about there in terms of reviewing the various systems.
Okay. So, and I think from my past conversations with the law department, the county in these contracts is at liberty to cancel within 30 days. That's sort of our standard contract, right? Correct?
That's a standard provision, termination for convenience.
Okay.
But we'd have to see it in the actual contract, but we typically have it.
Okay. Well, I guess that's a GSA contract. So whatever that's, I guess, piggybacking off of. But Zach, is the intent here to wait a year to implement a new system, or if a new system comes online,
As quickly as
or we
possible.
find one? Okay.
Yeah, Commissioner, as
Thank you.
quickly as possible.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, commissioners, for the questions. I want to acknowledge that Commissioner Robert Patrick has joined us. Thank you, sir. And so we do look forward to those conversations later when we may make the transition. But at this time, do we have a motion for this item?
Yes, I move to approve item 1292.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Wonderful. That motion carries. The next item is 2025-1527, all commission districts. This is for a hazard mitigation grant program award in the amount of $130,667. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
And if you could just share with us what this is.
Absolutely. So what this is a hazard mitigation grant application, an award for FEMA's Hazard Mitigation Assistance Program. This is a program that FEMA delivered for the disaster management program they implemented in 2020. for the streamlined vol grants associated with mitigation. This is for DeKalb County's municipal hazard mitigation plan, which basically will complement and work with every jurisdiction within the county to adopt this hazard mitigation plan. I would like to note that this is something that we do every 5 years, and this is something that we will continue to work together with our municipalities within DeKalb County and the state to get approval.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Any questions or comments from committee members? Okay. Any questions or comments from commissioners? All right. It doesn't look like there are any. So at this time, can we have a motion for this item?
I make a motion to approve this item.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you so much. We are going to we're going to skip over the District 1 and District 6 items for now so we can get through the other contract items. We're going to go to Fire Rescue on page 3, item 2025 141. Can you hear me? Okay, there we go. 2025-1429, all commission districts. Change order number 2 to contract 1373878, cloud-based software, form builder, annual contract with 2 options to renew for use by Fire Rescue. This contract consists of the purchase of a cloud-based software for the creation of departmental forms that includes training and support. This request seeks to add the Department of Police Services and to increase contract funds to establish a multi-year software subscription service awarded to GovOS Inc., amount not to exceed $124,125. Good morning, Chief.
Good morning, Commissioners. Yes, so the police department has budgeted for this software, and we were in the process of creating our own contract when we learned that the fire department already had it. So we're looking to use that contract in order to implement this software program. It will help our interdepartmental requisitions for accountability tracking. It's very streamlined, and it'll definitely help us in keeping track of contracts, of requisition submittals through the police department process.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments from committee members? Okay. Any questions or comments from commissioners? All right. Well, at this time, can we have a motion for this item?
I move to approve item 1429.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Wonderful. Next item is 2025-1600, all commission districts. It looks like a renewal, contract numbers 2,170, 2,171, 2,173, 2,182. Engine and aerial accessories for fire rescue, first renewal of 4 options. For use by Fire Rescue, these contracts consist of purchasing engine and aerial accessories and equipment to outfit departmental fleet purchases. This request seeks to ratify a price increase to those to contract numbers 2000170 and 2000173, effective September 1st, 2025. This request also seeks to exercise the first renewal option awarded to Williams Fire Apparatus, Inc., 10-8 Fire and Safety, LLC, Fireline, Inc., and Pro Fire and Tactical, LLC, total amount not to exceed $1,830,000.
Yes, Commissioners, as you stated, this contract is to purchase all the equipment that is placed on our apparatus, including our engines and our ladder trucks. When we purchase those trucks, they do not come with any equipment. So in the case of an engine, we have to purchase the hose, all of the extrication equipment, all of the SCBA's, everything that's found on those vehicles. And then it was stated that there is a price increase that the contracted vendor stated that they are realizing from the vendors that they purchased the equipment from. So we are asking for not only the renewal, but the increases to specific items within the contract.
And how many vehicles is this amount able to equip?
So just to give you an example, Commissioner, a typical ladder has about $300,000 worth of equipment on it. An engine is probably a little bit less.
Okay.
But we have two ladder trucks that are waiting to be outfitted, so it'd be $300,000 apiece.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments from commissioners or committee members? All right, well, at this time, can we have a motion for this item?
Motion to approve item 1600.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Moving on to police services, item 20251481. All commission districts, this is a ratification of change order number 3 to contract number 1349075, Cloud Solutions and Services. It's a statewide contract for use by police services, and this contract consists of purchasing off the competitively let SWC to purchase OpenGov software to assist in the development and management of a pet litter registry program for animal enforcement services, awarded to Carasoft Technology Corp. Amount not to exceed $82,981.15. Chief,
You
you're going
got
to
it,
speak
Director
to this?
Lumpkin?
Oh, Director Lumpkin.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
This software that has been purchased to assist in implementation of the litter registry for the animals that will go into effect January 1st, 2026. It will allow the registration and other capacity that you may desire to use in upcoming years. As you recall, the litter registry is hopefully a policy that over time will reduce the overpopulation of animals.
Wonderful. I'm glad to see this come up in the same year that we actually voted on the legislation. So kudos to you for that. Any other questions or comments from committee members or commissioners? Commissioner Terry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did want to point out that it looks like we're already using this software, which is probably why it was easier to move forward, because we're just doing a change order. We didn't do a whole RFP.
The ordinance actually, we had 6 months to actually implement ordinance. Yes, we are using that software, but we had to, animal enforcement had to determine would it meet the needs of the litter registration as we understand them and be able to potentially host our cities. So it did not take a full year.
Right, because we already had the software. They just added
That's correct.
a module
Yeah,
or
we're
something
using it,
to
I think,
it.
in purchasing and in budget.
Okay, and so is the pet litter registry program a module within OpenGov, or is it just a customized package?
I believe it's a customized package, but we need the IT to respond to that.
Okay. Madam Chair, I just would submit that one of the things that I've become aware of, and I've actually been invited to be on the the ACCG Technology Committee, and one of our colleagues in Gwinnett County, Commissioner Ben Koo, has been advocating for the last couple of years to encourage counties to, instead of going with the big tech companies, Microsoft, Carasoft, OneSolve, Oracle, that we should instead pursue open source database technology and IT solutions, mainly for the purpose of saving ourselves a lot of money every year, because most of the cost is simply just licensing. licensing the software. And one thing you'll notice is reoccurring is that every year the licensing cost goes up because those companies are for-profit companies. And once they get us into their system, they know we need them to operate all of our databases. I think we spend, is it like $100 million a year on IT? Does that sound right, Zach?
Total hardware, software, countywide? You're probably close.
Okay. So that's something I'll just be happy to report back to the commissioners on. I do think it's a promising solution. Nothing against OpenGov or Carasoft. And I'm really just curious to get a tour of how the actual software works. Because some of these things where you're just talking about maintaining a list and being able to check it, quite frankly, can be done with existing tools on the market like Airtable and Zapier that cost $100 a month to use. So I just think that our penchant as a government is to go after a government contract. This is a statewide contract, so this contract was originally developed for the state of Georgia, I assume. So just acknowledging that a state contract might have different components to a local government. And if we can find ways to accomplish the goal of a registry, for instance, without having to spend $82,000 a year, then we should try to pursue that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Terry. That was a good point. We do want to make sure not only are we efficient, but we're being cost effective. I did have one question since you did kind of bring that up for Director Lumpkin. Would OpenGov, and this may be an IT question, have additional security? Some of those larger institutions have additional securities with their software that some of the others may not.
Madam Chair, is an IT question. I could guess, but I don't know that.
Okay. No, that's fine. I was just curious. So if there are no other questions or comments.
Commissioner Bolton? This
Yes,
is Michelle
ma'am.
Spears. May I have a moment?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Thank you, Connie. Again, apologies for being disrupted by zooming in. But I would love to thank
and express my appreciation to
Mr. Lumpkin and all of the folks with Animal Services for your hard work on bringing the litter registry to life. It has been something that Mr. Lumpkin and his team has been working on behind the scenes now for several months. And I just want everyone to know is that we aggressively approach this litter registry, and all eyes from other jurisdictions around the state are on us right now. People are watching to see how we roll this out, one. Two is how we're going to enforce it. And I think that we made a major leap in advancement in securing or in advancing positive animal services in our state or in our county and throughout the state, at least letting folks know that there is an option and there is a way forward to do this while it might not be. Can you hold for just 1 second?
Sure.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I had a little bit of a distraction in the background, but let me back up. Again, all eyes are on us throughout the state with this particular item. And again, thank you so much to Mr. Lumpkin and everybody else as we are hoping to bring this forward on January 1st. Correct, Mr. Lumpkin, to go live with it?
Correct.
Okay, awesome. All right, and we do have other cities as well within DeKalb County who are interested in tapping into the litter registry. Doraville is one of those cities. So, Mr. Lumpkin, can you please explain what that process will look like for Doraville, and hopefully, eventually, all of our jurisdictions in DeKalb will be able to participate?
Excuse me, what we would desire that all of the ordinances mirror the county ordinances where we don't have our people having to input different things for different ordinances, et cetera, or that we could host all of the information on one platform so everyone could see it. That wouldn't make for a better enforcement platform. If one city can do it, I think all can do it.
Yes, sir. Okay, so to be clear, and I'll make sure that, I do my advocacy on my end, is that all of the other cities that like to participate need to adopt a mirrored ordinance, so basically a copy and paste, if you will, from our ordinance into their city ordinances in order to participate, correct?
That is my recommendation. It's
Okay,
your
okay.
authority to actually, the administration, but that's my recommendation in terms of being able to enforce appropriately.
Fantastic. And second, sir, we have acknowledged that education and promotion of this is also critical for it to be successful. Could you update everybody on what that path looks like for us moving forward as we're very quickly turning the corner to January 1st for the go-live date on this?
It's a plan. We had a few teasers out for the last 15 days or so. The plan is to start the blitz on December the 15th with social media, DeKalb communications, our partners in animal enforcement, shelters, and the Animal Advisory Board, getting the word out exactly how it will work.
Okay.
We're actually testing the system now.
Okay, fantastic. So December 15th, it will go live roughly 2 weeks later on January 1st. Obviously, that's wholly insufficient, 2 weeks, for being able to get this communications out to the public and also educating them on what they do if they find out someone is violating the ordinance. How long will that run for? So December 15th through when?
We will run it at least a month. After the first 15 days, we'll see how into January to see how it's working and what the results are.
Okay, so we'll run it at minimum for 30 days, so that would take us into mid-January. Sir, I'm of the opinion that's probably not long enough. I would say for a substantial ordinance change like this, it would require to go longer. However, I understand if we are constrained by budget. Now, we did include in the 2025 budget amendments, I believe $65,000 for the registry itself and or to contribute to the registry and for promotion and education. Is that still sufficient for your needs, sir, or do we need to consider, if we do want to carry this into more into 2026, some additional dollars in our 2026 budget?
I would want to analyze that. I'm not certain whether it's sufficient or not.
Would you mind just following up with an email to all the commissioners?
I will.
Okay, perfect. All right, and lastly, please do let the District 2 office know what we can do to help get the word out. And thank you to all of the commissioners, the CEO, Mr. Lumpkin, and everybody with Animal Services Lifeline, our red shirts, everybody who helped make the litter registry possible. So thank you so much, and I'll yield back.
All right, thank you, ma'am, for your comments and your questions. If there is nothing else, and I don't see anyone eager to comment, may we have a motion on this item?
Move to approve item 1481.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. We have a really big item, our last contract item, just to discuss a little bit from my understanding, this has not gone through audit as of yet or has not come out of audit. This is for Human Resources and Merit System. Item 2025-1513. All commission districts request for proposals number 2024-100007 for temporary personnel services, 4-year multi-year contract for use by all DeKalb County departments through the Department of Human Resources and Merit System, consists of the provision of part-time and full-time temporary personnel positions for DeKalb County on an as-needed basis. Recommend award to the highest scoring proposers who are responsive and responsible: Trifecta Inc., Open Work LLC, and 22nd Century Technologies Inc. Total amount not to exceed $30 million. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jadia Haynes, HR Deputy Director. As you mentioned, Dr. Bolton, this contract is for temporary personnel services for countywide to meet department business needs during seasonal or peak periods or for short-term projects, and also for covering employee absences.
And Madam Chair, I believe this is still an audit.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that. Does this also include support for constitutional offices?
It does.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from committee members? Commissioner Johnson?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, Commissioner Terry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just requesting if HR can provide a list of all the positions, departments that this contract has been used, or a similar one, I think, in the past. I think it was, what was the last contractor?
Apple One and Corporate Temps.
That's right, okay. It was like Howdy ran, right? Was that a weird name? It was like Howdy or something. But I know we've been doing this for many, many years, and this is very standard in our line of work, but would you mind just providing all of the last maybe year or so of
Yes, we can
all
do
the
that.
departments and positions?
Yes.
What exactly it was used for?
Yes, we can do that.
I believe that, I remember the elections office was a
They
big
use it a
user of
lot,
this.
yes.
'cause
Voter
it just depends on
registration, also state court has been a big user, and UCO.
State court.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
I have a question.
Commissioner Johnson?
So I do see this is a 4-year, multi-year contract. So is this, and we've used something similar in the past?
Yes,
So we put this back out to bid about every 4 years?
we do.
Okay,
Yes.
awesome, thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments from commissioners? Okay. So do we have a motion for this item that has not come out of audit yet?
I move to defer for 2 weeks.
Should that be sufficient, 2
Think that's
weeks?
sufficient?
Okay.
Okay, at least hold in committee, item 1513.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you so much. So at this time, we're going to jump back to page 2 to our District 1 items, and we're going to go to item 2025-0683, all commission districts. You're not leaving, are you?
No, I'm readjusting.
Oh, okay. 2025-0683, all commission districts, to approve a resolution to address egregious littering and the illegal dumping of scrap tires. Mr. Allen, are you speaking to this?
I am, Commissioner, and if Commissioner Patrick would like to do the preamble, we'll lead in from there.
Good morning. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to turn over to Mr. Marcus Allen, who has been the staff person that's been investigating and looking into the details of this. And Mr. Allen, please begin.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for your time today. Thank you, Madam Chair, for taking some time in your committee to address this pervasive issue that is facing DeKalb County and has been for quite some time, and that is the issue of illegally scrapped tires that are being dumped across locations within DeKalb County. The legislation in front of you, Agenda Item 2025-0683, is a resolution proposed by Commissioner Patrick to address that egregious littering and the illegal dumping thereof. What he has asked is for staff to take some time to review this legislation, propose any changes to the code amendment that is within that. And staff has, over the last several weeks and months, worked collaboratively with several county departments, done some research, and has provided the following 3 documents that are in front of you today. The first is the presentation that we're going to go over. I'm going to try to go through it as quickly as possible. We've got a 12:30 stop time. The second document is the actual code adjustment that we are proposing. The draft is dated 11/18/2025. And then the third document is the policy paper that we have written on policy recommendations to address scrap tire dumping. So with that, I'll go ahead and get started. So within the presentation itself, and that's what we'll be primarily reading over today, and my goal today is to get your input on the recommendations and considerations within this policy. If you would like, we can, after all of your input, draft a resolution that we can move forward to the full board that incorporates, if you would like, some of these recommendations and considerations as one omnibus update. So intro, we'll have that, and then we'll go into what is illegal tire dumping, the negative effects of tire dumping, the local approach that is being considered, because we're looking at this from a multifaceted view. We'll go into the proposed staff changes for Chapter 22, Article 4 of the Code Amendment as proposed by Commissioner Patrick and what we propose to update from there. We'll go into our recommendations and considerations. And then the second aspect is a regional approach, because we have neighbors across counties, across our cities, et cetera. And then there's a state approach that you all are already moving forward on with partnership with the DeKalb delegation to the General Assembly. So what is illegal tire dumping? Just for our own iteration, level set, it is the unauthorized disposal of scrap tires in locations not permitted for waste, processing, or storage, such as public rights-of-way, undeveloped private land, park spaces, and stream banks. The primary driver of this that we have seen in DeKalb County primarily is commercial. So several commercial haulers or irresponsible entities are seeking to evade the commercial disposal costs that have been charged by approved facilities. So we'll go further into that. Some of the effects of tire dumping are multifaceted. They span a range of public health, nuisance, fire risks, blight to our community. We have tires dumped in ravines, side of the road, in neighborhoods, businesses. Many of us are well aware we can drive, down the street and see scrap tires, anywhere in DeKalb County. There isn't one particular district that is noted for having more than the other, but we have worked with police to identify a map that pervasively looks at the 42 dumping locations, dumping sites that are all throughout DeKalb County. So we're going to address that as well. Another key part of this are the high cost of cleanup. Cleanup for scrap tires can range well into the tens of the thousands of dollars, precipitating the need for some change on our end to address this and partnership with the relevant private as well as government entities to address this. So for the local approach, we start with understanding the apparatus of how this works. So the Georgia EPD is the entity that effectively manages scrap tire transportation across the state through a manifest system. And this particular form is actually in your appendix. So if you'd like to take a look at that for your future iteration, it's on page 19 of the policy paper. But the scrap tire transportation manifest serves as the official scrap tire tracking document. There's three main drivers within this document. Well, first is the scrap tire generators. Those are our retail entities that have the tires at their location. In DeKalb County, scrap tire generators can hold up to 3,000 scrap tires on their property, and there's certain regulations for properly housing those scrap tires. Within DeKalb County, there are roughly 150 EPD permitted scrap tire generators within the county. And like I said, those are your mom and pop, in many cases, your mom and pop retail locations who sell the tires themselves. Second are our scrap tire carriers. Now, there are 15 permitted carriers by the EPD within DeKalb County, as noted within our EPD list as well. And we have that list in your appendix as well under the Georgia tire carriers on page 21. So that aspect lists all the tire carriers within the state, but if you scroll to, the column, the rows with DeKalb, All those are noted within, and there's another online list that has about 4 more that aren't on this particular page. But those are the folks who will actually, who are paid by the businesses to carry the tires from the business or the location to the processing facility so that it can be properly recycled, disposed of, et cetera. Which leads us into the last aspect of that closed loop system is the end user or the processor or disposal facility. There are 5 facilities statewide that are permitted for tire processing. So that's where, tire derived product is essentially broken down. It can be recycled. It can be used for crumb rubber, which is a fun aspect I'd like to discuss with you a little bit later today. And disposed of appropriately. There is only one scrap tire end user or processing facility in the Metro Atlanta region. That is Liberty Tire. They have a couple of locations statewide, but there's one in Fulton County currently. So that's what we're working with in terms of proper disposal. So how is illegal dumping currently addressed in DeKalb County? We have a multi-pronged effort that the county employs, which is partnership with several departments. And there are a couple of key departments that lead this, both from a private perspective and from a public perspective. So for cleanup and remediation on public property, when we see tire dumps, when we see tires on the side of the road, there are a few ways to go about this. One, the county generally assumes responsibility if it is within the county right of way. Sanitation Beautification Unit is the unit that is on the front lines of this. So if calls are dispatched to E911, commission offices, 311, several entities that can initially receive the calls to say, hey, I'm a resident or I'm someone who has noticed a band of scrap tires anywhere within county right-of-way. There's a number that is actually within all of our documentation that, citizens can call to notify the county of the issue if the county is not already aware. The Sanitation Beautification Unit then has a team that is dispatched to address that through several means. For small-scale cleanups, there's a truck that can come and pick those up within 3 to 5 day time range. For larger tire dumps, there's generally heavy equipment such as grapplers, which can be used to extract tires from county right-of-way. Those grapplers themselves are limited to a certain extent to somewhat not necessarily easy to reach areas, but if we're looking into deep ravines, rivers, stream banks, et cetera, there's additional resources that would be needed to clean that up. And that's a key issue that we've kind of run into. So as I said, coordination with other departments is sometimes needed. And I want to pause here because I want to thank, I don't want to leave that out. I want to thank all the departments that have been a part of the current cleanup, as well as some of the research that we've conducted. So behind me, I've got Gordon Kenna with Public Works, Kathy Reed with Planning Sustainability. These individuals are, in my opinion, experts on the tire issue within the county. They are available for additional questioning if you would like to have any specific aspects discussed within this conversation. Chief Pedrick, I believe, is here as well. Yep, right behind me. He's done a great job providing some data. His department does a standout job. Our sanitation department, Public Works, Director Lemke, there's a whole host of folks that are involved in this, and staff has just worked to collect the resources, provide those to you for these recommendations. So that's the public aspect. From a private property aspect, and I want to thank specifically Code Compliance and Enforcement as well. Director Clark does a standout job for her department. We don't want to lose sight of that because from the private aspect, the property owners are generally held responsible for tire dumps, and there's a process that code enforcement goes through adjudication with the courts, which is another partner in this, who will work to identify the owner that is responsible for tire dumps on private property and have those cases managed by Code Compliance and Enforcement. So there are fines that they will hand out. There are certain enforcement mechanisms that are utilized by that department. And as stated, those tire cleanups are essentially adjudicated in the courts. So as we know, that can sometimes be a lengthy process, but it is a state mandated process, and it is what's currently used. So identified tire dumping locations in DeKalb. There are 42 hotspots that includes but is not limited to, all the spots that you see here on your list. So thank you to DKPD for providing this map that you see of illegal tire dumping hotspots within DeKalb County. They are within every commission district, super district within the county. Frequent sites include areas off major roads, commercial and industrial areas, neighborhoods, etc. Even preschools. We've seen some issues like that, so it can be anywhere. Perpetrators are not always the original retailers, so we want to take a note to state that as well. Sometimes they could be the victim of illegal scrap tire dumping. And we've seen that, especially with, like I said, the preschool itself. And I won't get into the specific name, but it was a key news story out a few months ago on that. So we need to have a way to address that. And I think surveillance is a great way to do that. You all have instituted $19 million flock camera LPRs within the county that we can do to identify some of those sites. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, but we also need to have a conversation about what public or what private businesses are doing to surveil their own areas as well. So next. So getting into the agenda item, we're getting close to the recommendations. Commissioner Patrick proposed some legislation that is an amendment to the county's code regarding egregious litter. I think we spoke about this last month, but just for everyone's iteration, the legislation states that any person who intentionally dumps egregious litter in violation of code section 22-64 in an amount not exceeding 500 pounds in weight, 100 cubic feet in volume, which is not biomedical waste, hazardous substance, and is not for commercial purposes, shall be guilty of a misdemeanor of a high and aggravated nature. And then second prong, any person who intentionally dumps that egregious litter in that violation of the code section, if it is biomedical waste, hazardous waste, or hazardous substances, if it is for commercial purposes, shall be guilty of a felony, and upon conviction thereof, shall be fined not more than $25,000 for each violation, or imprisoned for not more than 5 years, et cetera, et cetera. That was the original legislation. After staff's review and discussion with our constitutional partners, namely one of our solicitor, Donna Coleman-Striblin. Thank you, Madam Solicitor, for your input. We've proposed the following adjustments. So under section 22-66A, reduced tire storage limit, we are proposing that is reduced from 100 to 25 scrap tires to align with Georgia Code Title 12, which states that no person may store more than 25 scrap tires anywhere in the state. That is for private entities. That is for personal scrap tire use. In DeKalb County, especially within this code, we already have the proper regulations in place that state that no commercial entity within the county may hold over 3,000 tires on site. So that's in line, but this 100 to 25 scrap tires will just address the private issue. Section 22-69, subsection 1, this is a proposed updated penalty for a violation that will be a fine not to exceed $1,000 as it currently is, but moves from 30 days of imprisonment to up to 6 months of imprisonment or both. This essentially is the maximum that the county is allowed to issue in terms of punishment for scrap tire dumping, and it aligns with state law. When we look at code violations, the max the county can do from a code violation is $1,000 or 6 months per violation. And obviously, where any offense or violation continues from day to day, each day's continuance thereof shall be deemed a separate offense. I know Commissioner Terry wants to talk a little bit more about that. Section 22-69, subsection 3, new language has been added to clarify that in addition to actions filed by DeKalb for violations of this ordinance, any state or federal agency may independently seek separate or concurrent charges within their respective applicable authority and seek conviction within a court of competent jurisdiction. So that is an aspect that we have utilized as an example from Athens-Clarke County, who uses within their specific code to address that for what the county cannot do from its own limited jurisdiction. The state, federal agencies can impose fines, fees, enforcement penalties in line with theirs. And in the state of Georgia, it actually aligns with Commissioner Patrick's original proposal, which would be a fine of not more than $25,000 for each offense or guilty of a felony. So we feel that we can address that through allowing the state to, step in and do what they can do from an enforcement mechanism. So within that, you have your third sheet, which is the code amendments. And I've just stated basically those red lines. The draft is dated 11/18/2025. I do want to note that an update had been made to this because when we previously had this conversation under section 22-67 compliance, scrap tire generator, or 22-68 under enforcement of this article shall be the responsibility of the DeKalb County Director of Public Works or his or her designee. Our original legislation after our initial research stated that it would be code compliance based off our understanding. We've had some additional subsequent conversations with Director Clark, and we feel that it would be best to keep this within the realm of Public Works due to just the simple fact this is a solid waste issue. Director Clark has some other input that she can provide on the rationale behind that, but the key is enforcement does need to happen. And no matter the department that will take responsibility, as long as we have a strong apparatus for that enforcement mechanism, it can be Public Works, it can be code enforcement, but as long as those parameters are in place, we can move forward accordingly. So we have no problem with keeping the Director of Public Works, his or her designee, within that. And we have some proposed language to help address that, namely designating a high-level program coordinator within the designated county department. So we can go into recommendation 2, but observation 2 is addressing illegal tire dumping requires a comprehensive and coordinated effort that currently falls across multiple departments and agencies. This is something that, as we've noted, we work with police, we work with fire in cases, work with at least 7 or 8 different departments to address this. So the recommendation here is that the county designate a high-level program coordinator, or tires are, within, like I said, any county department that can carry out this work to the best of their abilities. At the current moment, it seems that Public Works would be the proper apparatus. One, because businesses already have a relationship with our Public Works department, namely sanitation. All businesses need to have proper sanitation in place. We feel that the sanitation department has relationships with all businesses within DeKalb County that are issued a business permit to operate, and they have their garbage, their solid waste picked up. So accordingly, let's just hold the program coordinator, ideally within this Public Works apparatus. It could be sanitation, it could be roads and drainage, but if we hold that within the designation of Public Works, we can move forward accordingly. We just need some updated documentation to note what that SOP will be. That's an important piece here. So that's one recommendation. Observation 3 is that the county does not currently have a registry of tire handling businesses for the submission of quarterly transport reports noted in the county code. So without jumping back too much, there is under 22-67, subsection C. I want to get the subsection right. Details are important. Yes, subsection C under tire handling businesses. Quarterly reports shall be sent to the DeKalb County Director of Public Works and shall include a number of information included to ensure that on a quarterly basis, all tire handling businesses are providing their manifest reports, all scrap tire generated activity to the county. This is very important that we do this to one, align with the county code, what has already been stipulated for a number of years, but it will be key not only from a compliance standpoint, but from establishing the registry of tire handling businesses that will, keep a list of all the necessary partners within the county. We have an EPD list. We have business licenses that have been issued by the county. Let's align those two, create one large list of all tire handling businesses within the DeKalb, and then utilize that for code compliance reasons and for, partnership with our tires are the county that's gonna, or the county department that's gonna partner with them. So that's the rationale behind that. Okay. Observation 4, this is the last, that was actually the last recommendation. So we're gonna go into considerations. These are aspects that need a little bit more research, discussion, and input from our county partners. One is by reimagining scrap tire solid waste as a valuable resource, DeKalb County has a potential to transform the environmental liability into a financially viable and innovative public works solution. So consideration A, something we could think about doing is pursue both environmental stewardship and infrastructure improvement by registering as a scrap tire processor with the Georgia EPD. Additionally, consider the feasibility of generating crumb rubber from recycled tires as an additive in asphalt to fill potholes and pave county roads by utilizing rubberized asphalt. The county would essentially become its own processing partner. We'd have our own processing facility. One, to address the cleanup needed of the thousands of tires throughout the county and have a way to do that that could be, if we run the numbers, it could be cheaper than transporting them out of state. Two, having an enterprise contained with somewhere within the enterprise fund of actually working with our county partners, maybe other counties who may want to transport their tires, our businesses throughout DeKalb County who may want to transport their tires, not necessarily to a Liberty Tire or another designated state facility. There's only one in Metro Atlanta. What if we were the next? What would that look like? Additional research would be needed, but I will note that the Georgia EPD does have grants available for the initial research of this, notably the Tire Products Grant. Is that right, Gordon? The Tire Products Grant?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That is one particular grant mechanism that could be used, and I believe it funds up to $250,000 for scrap tire derived products, research, et cetera, that counties can use for work such as this to initially consider the feasibility. So if we wanted to have an RFP, that was issued to explore the research needed to develop this, we could certainly do that and then utilize that grant funding to do so accordingly. So that's just an option in front of us, right? The goal is remediation, but also, if this were, feasible, it would be a revenue generating idea. And that's something we're looking to do within DeKalb County, particularly within Public Works. And those are conversations you all have had over the last several years. We need to address that. Observation 5, currently tire handling businesses are not referenced as having special reporting requirements in DeKalb County. This is an enforcement consideration. So in order to renew business licenses, scrap tire generators or tire handling businesses in DeKalb County should be required to provide documentation of a business relationship with state-permitted tire processors and carriers. What this essentially does is adds a layer of local verification on top of the state process to make sure that our tire handling businesses are following the rules. Simple and plain, right? One of the issues that we have is enforcement is reactive. When we see scrap tires dumped across the side of the road, and even when we're able to identify where they have come from, whether they're a commercial entity or not, and specifically for commercial entities, what is our apparatus to enforce them accordingly? Are we shutting them down? Are we imposing fines that last for a number of months? What's our current apparatus in that aspect? One layer that we could add that would both increase enforcement, but also add a layer of education for all of those scrap tire generators would be, as you are renewing your annual business license within DeKalb County for scrap tire generators, and at this point we would ideally have a list of those retail partners. You need to show, whether it's through a contract or whether it's through previous work done or partnership with scrap tire carriers, that those tires are being moved appropriately out of your facility into a state-permitted processing facility. Right now, we don't have anything that verifies that on top of. It would be great if the quarterly transport reports could do that, but until we have that apparatus in place, it would be great to add this layer of local verification. It's a preventative measure. Ideally, it is a very preventative measure to make sure that if you don't have that relationship already in place, we're not going to issue your business license. This is a very similar concept as the video surveillance ordinance that you all have passed as well, right? So for businesses deemed high risk, prior to issuing your annual business license or renewal, you need to have the proper cameras in place at those specific convenience stores, gas stations, et cetera. What if we had that in place, but for scrap tire generators, that same concept in place? Speaking of video surveillance, video and surveillance is another important aspect of this. We touched on this briefly, but the observation is tire handling establishments are sometimes innocent parties to illegal tire dumping on the property, but may not have the video surveillance on site to assist with those investigations. So the consideration here is consider expanding the scope of the video surveillance ordinance, the VSS ordinance, which currently targets high-risk businesses like gas stations and convenience stores for crime deterrence, to include tire handling establishments. Just add them into that scope. What would that look like? I believe it takes additional research analysis, discussion with our law department, discussion with our CEO, discussion with our state partners, et cetera. But if we were to expand that scope, I think it does address the lack of surveillance that private entities may be having. And a final note on that is, of course, thank you to the board, to the CEO for partnering on the $19 million update to the flock and police, the $19 million update to the flock camera LPRs and other surveillance apparatus that are going to be utilized to address this. That is what the county is doing on our end to hold up our bargain, and let's make sure that our private partners are holding up their end so that we don't continue to increase our costs as a county. We don't want to pay another X million dollars for additional surveillance that private entities could be utilizing themselves, and that's additional taxpayer funds that we can be saving. And then the last consideration is providing citizens with accessible, no-cost disposal options is a critical proactive step to prevent the flow of tires into the waste stream. So for our private citizens, consider making Tire Amnesty Day an annual event, which is where residents looking to dispose of old tires can do so free of charge for a limited time. There's a couple of counties that do this annually. I believe it's Hall County and Newton County that do this annually. they're generally using their $75,000 grant from the EPD to fund that. I think we run out of our $75,000 on an annual basis, but and that's probably why we don't have it on an annual basis. But Tire Amnesty Day is where, you know, folks can come to a designated location, dump their tires in a big, you know, sanitation truck or whatever, and then the county transport those tires to an appropriate facility. It's a great education event and brings people together from that aspect. Consider making it an annual event. We've done I believe the last annual event was a number of years ago. I don't want to note the year, but at least 2017 or so. It's been a while. Okay.
So, Mr. Allen, we have about 6 minutes left until 12:30, and I don't want to rush through the last couple pages because we do have quite a few, and you've provided some really good information that you and all of the departments and partners, Commissioner Patrick, that everybody have worked on. So I'd like to take the last few minutes for commissioners to ask questions about what we've talked about so far, and I do want to make time to bring you back to finish the discussion, continue the discussion, because there's a whole lot here. I do have 3, but because we're short on time, I'll yield to committee members and then commissioners to give comments or questions first.
We'd be happy to speak offline about, you know, with each of you individually as well.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes, thank you. And I do have a couple comments and notes, but I probably will just email them in lieu of time. But I did want to clarify just one.
We're going to bring them back because I want to hear everything.
You want to hear it all? Yes, ma'am. So on slide 9, the original recommendation from Commissioner Patrick says 100 cubic feet in volume for the tires, and then it was switched to 25 scrap tires. That is 25 individual tires and not the cubic feet in volume anymore, which would be on slide 10, top of slide 10.
So, Commissioner, what that is referring to is currently in our county code, we have it in 22-66. I'm going to read it out just really quickly. 22-66 states that no person may storage, under accumulation, no person may storage more than 100 scrap tires anywhere in the county. This simply just aligns with the state regulation, I believe in Title 12, that states no person may store more than 25 scrap tires anywhere in the state. So that's where that was born from, not necessarily aligning with Commissioner Patrick's recommendation for that, but just literally following state regulations. That was the consideration for that.
And so that, just to be clear, it's no longer, it's not cubic feet in volume, it's individual tires.
Correct. No, it's a bit easier to count individual tires as the cubic feet. There's ways to address, and there's calculations to be made, but, you know, let's keep it simple.
Yes, I agree with the keep it simple. I just want to reiterate, I think there's a lot of good work on this. It seems like tire dumping would be a simple, but it's not. It's complicated. So again, I appreciate all the hard work. I had additional comments, but I will forward them over instead of taking up too much time. Thank you.
10-4.
Did you have anything, Commissioner Davis Johnson?
Just briefly, and that is, you talk about the regional impact. Oh, thank you. When you're talking about the regional impact of tie dumping, and are you looking to bring, I see that you're looking with your peers in neighboring jurisdictions, Gwinnett, Fulton, Cobb. What about the municipalities?
Yes, ma'am. And the municipalities will be a key cog in this. The previous conversation you all had I believe it was just a few minutes ago, regarding one of the aspects is in every one of these conversations that the county utilizes from a code amendment perspective, we need to have our cities involved. That was a conversation you all just had on that. So yes, absolutely. There are 13 different ways we can address tires in DeKalb. If the county leads the way in terms of, you know, what we can do, I think our municipalities would be more than willing to be partners in that and look at their ordinances and see what they can improve as well, so that we have a uniform aspect within DeKalb County itself. Mm-hmm. Now, from our partner counties, they can obviously do what they wish as well. But from our cities, yes, they are a key partner. We need to keep involved.
Okay.
Commissioner Terry?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I did want to just remind everyone that the memo came out on October 17th. Thank you, Marcus, for that. On October 19th, I responded with everyone here with 5 policy considerations. I have not received a response to that email since October 19th, so I am just curious between the sponsor and central staff why there has not been a response. I think what I laid out was pretty straightforward. I was providing my input to ensure that this legislation was effective. But if no one responds, I mean, I don't know what else to do other than just to keep saying, here's what I think we ought to do. So I'm just going to lay that out there as a preference to, if a colleague submits information or recommendations, review it and respond in some form or fashion, whether you received it or you would disagree with it or agree with it, but no conversation between October 19th and today has left us at this meeting with taking probably no action today. And the last month, we could have talked through all of these issues, and we could have amended the ordinance before the end of the year, but it doesn't seem like that's possible. I did want to ask the administration, though, the key recommendation was to create a tire czar within the Public Works Department. Do y'all support that?
I've not had specific conversation with the CEO on supporting a tire czar, but we did want to keep it in the Public Works Department, so there would probably need to be a person, whether they have other responsibilities besides tire. We'd have to come back to you on that, but there will need to be a person in the Public Works Department responsible for it.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you saying that. I would just flag that this has been on our agenda for over a year, and it's a little concerning that there's been no response to this legislation and this shared problem that we're all trying to deal with from y'all's side. I mean, if you haven't talked about it and you're saying you don't have a recommendation, and we're trying to pass this legislation.
Each of the staff who come to the meetings are part of our response.
I know, but
so
the
code enforcement
solutions
is there,
being
or when the
present.
police department is there.
I know, but
we're there.
I know, but the solutions being presented, you just said you haven't made a decision on it, but we've been talking about this for over a year now. And the thing when Director Lemke said at one of the meetings months ago, I'm not keeping a list of tires. That should have been the trigger for y'all to say, well, who is? But you've left it in our court to change an ordinance, but we're not actually changing it. It's still Public Works Department. So if it was always going to be Public Works Department, wouldn't it have made sense for y'all to work on your side of the strategy? Because we can only do legislation. We can't make y'all enforce the ordinance that's been on the books for 20 years. I mean, what do you want us to do, Zach? I mean,
So we will have the Public Works Department live up to its current responsibility. I can say that. If and when the board adopts a resolution or ordinance or what have you, we will then implement. But we do recognize that currently there's a responsibility that we have not fulfilled that we will.
And Commissioner Patrick wanted to respond to that as well.
Commissioner Terry, first of all, thank you for the effort. If you wouldn't mind pushing that email to the top, I would be very grateful. Between data centers and PDK, we've had sort of a wash of emails that have been coming in, so I apologize for that on my part. I will say that what I've observed that the administration has done is the key sites that were in District 1 where the tire dumping was happening, and this was right up against a residential development neighborhood. I was there and I saw when they were actually physically being removed. I've gone back to double check the site. There's now a fence that's been installed, so I'm going to assume that that is the administration talking with the property owner to say you need to maintain your property. And generally speaking, I'm grateful for that engagement. The idea was a tire czar, it still is a tire czar, but I also understand there may be different approaches that the administration or the commission feels is the best way to approach it, but at least it's a target, it's a goal to get it out there to hopefully get support to address the issue overall. And then just a final statement. Again, thank you to the administration. I know you guys have been working in the background in different ways. I'm very grateful for that, because at the end of the day, at least speaking for District 1, those areas are cleaned up. That was, I think, 4 53-foot semi-trailers loaded with the tires, not just stacked, but like interwoven with one another in those trailers that got it cleaned up. And so at the end of the day, the objective is clean it up and make it better. And then this conversation that we've had with Marcus is intended to say, how can we get processes in place so that we can prevent that from happening again? And that is sort of, if you believe in government, that's what government does, is it looks for a process to address an issue that's out there in the community. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Bolton, it's Michelle Spears. May I offer a comment and question real fast?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. First of all, I do want to apologize to the committee just for the distractions in my background. I cannot seem to escape them this morning. Have been rife with distractions all morning. Second is, we did talk about the VSS ordinance. In the presentation, Mr. Allen, did you discuss having LPRs at the different locations where site or tire dumping is common and ongoing?
So, Commissioner, I think that's certainly within our, I believe that's what you all passed. It's, just this past month, the board has implemented additional flock LPR cameras at hotspots across DeKalb County that don't just address scrap tire dumping, but, issues across the county. And we believe that from the county perspective, what has been approved most recently is going to address our county roadways, our right-of-ways, and what we can control from a video surveillance perspective.
I understand that, Mr. Allen. My question specifically is it written in the ordinance to have an LPR positioned at all of the hot spots where tire dumping has consistently occurred over the years?
Not at the current moment, but we'd be certainly open to implementing that.
Okay, please consider adding that into the ordinance so that it's not subject to political whim. And that we do have these LPRs. They have, from the research I have done, they seem very effective in order to track down who is dumping those tires.
Understood. Thank you, Commissioner.
Yield back.
Okay, and COO, you had something else?
Yes, if I could just add, and Madam Presiding Officer, maybe we can piggyback on your suggestion that some sort of, we implement in this a strategy when hotspots are identified, LPRs are the appropriate tool are deployed, because hotspots are going to move.
Understood.
We definitely want to ensure that we integrate the right technology.
We just have to move with them in order to eradicate this.
Yep, that's
Okay.
right.
Thank you so much for your consideration.
Yeah, Commissioner Long Spears, I appreciate that as well, because I've had conversations with Peachcrest Elementary School, which is right across the street from the Salvation Army, and discussing how we could potentially use cameras to support the students in that area, because it's obviously going to become a health hazard for the kids that have to walk to school when the dumping is happening in the school zone.
Oh.
I would like to see fines doubled for the school zone like we do with speeding. Maybe it's some wiggle room that we can use when it comes to health concerns that we can help implement that.
I second that, Dr. Bolton.
That's right. But in any case, we have met our time. We are going to bring this back around. Great conversation. I know we didn't get through the entire presentation, but like I said, again, I do want to bring it back. But since we have discussed this item 0683, do we have a motion for it?
Motion to defer for 30 days?
It is.
Because it sounded like there were still some other items that were getting worked on and information needed, so is.
What is that date, 30 days? Just.
So the second ERPS meeting in December is the 16th. However, you don't have a board meeting after that date, so technically, if you would like, currently we have the ERPS committee and all committees for that day currently slated for December 16 at this current moment. So if you would like the second ERPS in December, for additional discussion.
Okay, yes, I think that sounds good.
So defer to a stop in ERPS on December 16th.
A stop in ERPS on the 16th, yes.
That's my motion.
Okay, I second.
All in favor? Aye. And for record, we are holding 1233 and 0390. We're holding those in committee. We haven't had an opportunity to speak of those today, but do we have a motion to end the meeting?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.